specialized training for emergency room care. Twin Cities area mayors will meet tonight, plan coordinated crime fighting strategy. University of Minnesota officials say they lost $13 million on investments in stock market derivatives trading. One plan to hold down spiraling Medicaid costs includes putting a cap on the amount of medication prescribed for patients. We'll hear the details of those other news items.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome you to the Governmental Candidate Forum sponsored by United We Stand Minnesota Incorporated, 5th District. We're very happy to have you here. We hope when you leave you will take back with you a better knowledge of the candidates for governor of the great state of Minnesota. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by one of our founding members, Olson. Thank you. And now for the purpose of giving you an idea of the mission of United We Stand America, we have a young lady who did an excellent job with Government Day, who is the State Secretary and also Chair of the 3rd District. Help me welcome Maggie Starship.
Thank you, Hansel, and good morning. It's a special day for United We Stand America because it indeed is part of our purpose and objectivity is to educate you regarding the candidacy for these various races that we'll be participating in. For you to get a feel as to what we are all about, I would like to read the preamble, which I dearly, I have a lot of respect for this preamble because it is about you and I. It reads, this is again the UWSA preamble, we the people, recognizing that our republic was founded as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, unite to restore the integrity of our economic and political systems. We commit ourselves to organize, to educate, to participate in the political process, and to hold our public servants accountable. We shall rebuild our country, renew its economic and moral social strength, and return the sovereignty of America to her people. Today, you will have the great privilege of becoming educated, motivated, and stimulated in this forum, the governor's race. This is your day to assess these candidates, and your day to become active in the process. And that, my fellow Minnesotan, is what United We Stand America Minnesota is all about. Our prime focus is government reform and congressional accountability, and we are a nonpartisan organization consisting of Republicans, Democrats, independents, and independent thinkers. United We Stand America Minnesota is celebrating its first anniversary soon, and during the short period of time we have become organized on the state and local level. You can find us at festivals, manning booths at the fairs and summer festivals, supplying literature on tax day, pushing to put term limits on the ballot. We're monitoring city halls and conducting meetings in all 8 congressional districts. We are going to the wall for you. And we want you to join us in the message. The time has come for us to become educated on issues, to network with our elected servants, and to demand change, accountability, spending cuts. And the time has come for the
because it's a religious holiday for him. He was unable to make it. He does have a representative in the audience, and understand he'll be available after the program's over for questions and what have you. But we have decided to limit it just to the candidates, not lieutenant governors. Let me talk about the rules. What we did is we had a sort of a drawing for a place. We thought that would be the fairest way to do it, and we sort of readjusted that. Each candidate will make a 3-minute opening statement, and then we'll go to questions from the audience. We have a timer. There will also be a 1-minute summary just before the end. I understand most of the candidates will be around. If you have questions that are really pressing and you didn't get a chance to answer. Are there any questions from the candidates or anybody in terms of how we operate so far? If not, first of all, as members of United We Stand America, we get information from all over the country about candidates in other states. And I think we ought to be proud of the fact that any one of the candidates, and we checked them all out, could serve as a good governor of the state. That's not true with every state in the union. Let's give all of the candidates a round of applause right now. Okay, let's get started. I will simply introduce the name of the person and the party and let them approach the podium, and the timer will begin. I will not editorialize. The first candidate is Mike Hatch, DFL. DFL, Mike Hatch.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm very impressed with any organization who can put together a group like this, get people here on a Saturday morning. It's tough. I was once chair of the Democratic Party about 15 years ago, and everybody thinks that the crowds and events just occur, that thousands of people will gather. That's not the case. It takes work and hard effort by people, and I congratulate the people involved to put this together. I'm running for governor, and I've been around the state, and I don't care if you're in Moorhead or Albert Lee or Duluth or here or wherever. It's pretty basic. People want a job. They want their children educated. They like this health care system straightened around. They want this crime issue addressed. And they want their government to work. Now, in 3 minutes, I can't get into all those issues, those 5 basic issues, but I'd like to at least focus on one, and that's the issue of the economy. We're at a crossroads. We hear all sorts of talk about various issues with regard to education. My premise on the economy in this country is that people should have the opportunity to achieve. The very basic premise of this country is that no matter what your economic circumstance is, that you can work your way up that ladder based upon your own hard work and talents. But I think over the recent years, we've been seeing some of those rungs in that economic ladder being ripped out. And it's important for us to replace it. And in this state, we have to also be attuned to the fact that our economy is changing. In rural Minnesota, we have infrastructure, but a declining population that's unable to support it. When I'm talking about infrastructure, I'm talking about schools, and streets, utilities, police force, you name it. And in the city, we have an incoming migration of an economy of people and the population, but we have an infrastructure that's unable to sustain it. And there again, I refer to the transportation, the education system, social programs, and the like. We also have a problem with regard to disparity in our population, in terms of quartiles, in terms of economic quartiles. We also have the inability with regard to achievement in education as it relates to that, and it's important that we restore that. Education ought to be the #1 goal of any governor of this state. Restore a good, strong K-12 program, and to continue what we have is a good program, but to make it much better, to put teachers in the classroom, to lower those ratios. They have more state funding, which has decreased, by the way, in terms of ratios over the last 12 years. We should be creating a situation, an environment in which students are able to attain and go to higher education, to go to college, which is not the case, much more difficult today, combination of many factors, be it jobs, grants, loans, and the like. It is very important to restore opportunity to the system. And hopefully as we get into these questions, I'd like to talk further about that. I see the card, and I thank you very much for your time.
Next, we have John H. Hillside, Social Workers Party. Social Workers Party, John H. Hillside.
I want to show everyone my t-shirt. There's no cut and pay. I'm one of 1,100 Sioux Line strikers who are resisting the attempts by the Canadian Pacific Railroad to take back our lives and livelihoods in a major railroad strike that is taking place in 11 states across the Midwest. I'm proud to be a striker, I'm proud to be a unionist, and I'm proud to be a worker. And I'm also proud to be marching with my brothers and sisters, 1,100 of us strong. Our picket lines are being honored by 3,000 co-workers, and we're determined to win justice and dignity on the job, just as our brothers and sisters in Caterpillar are striking today in Illinois and Indiana. We're part of the strike wave, and we're proud to stand up for ourselves and for working people everywhere to resist the attempts by the corporations to gut our lives, our livelihoods, to take our limbs and to take our jobs in the name of profits. I want to address myself to one specific issue, and I want to challenge all the candidates to respond to this. I think there's a gigantic challenge facing all working people, young people, women in the state with the rise of anti-abortion terror. Specifically, a couple days ago in Brandenburg, a clinic that did not perform abortions was burned to the ground obviously by right-wing terrorists. I believe that the federal troops should be displaced to all abortion clinics throughout the United States, including the 7 clinics in Minnesota. I believe the time has come to say no, whatever your position is on the question of abortion, to those who stalk by night, burn clinics, bomb clinics, threaten women to keep them from exercising their constitutional right to control their own bodies. The time has come to say no to this arrogant, reckless, violent, and abusive behavior. And I believe now is the time to do it. In the Twin Cities, over the past 16 years, there have been 12 major incidents threatening life, property, and rights. On the question of abortion, not a single person has ever been arrested. I hold the U.S. government and the Minnesota government responsible for the climate that allows these terrorists to do their work and not get caught, not feel threatened, not feel jeopardized. I hold the Clinton administration responsible for this climate of terror also because it continues to roll back the rights women have won in struggle to exercise control over their own body, including young women who don't want to tell their parents, including women who don't want to wait 24 hours to make a decision they've already made, who risk home visits from right-wingers and opponents of abortion. The blood of doctors, the blood of clinic escorts like John Britton and James Barrett at Pensacola are on the hands of the government, and it's the government's responsibility to intervene aggressively to create a climate of intimidation against those who would burn and bomb clinics and make it difficult for women to exercise their rights. I think this is a big issue in Minnesota. I think lip service is not enough. I think action is necessary. There are only 12 marshals today in front of 3,000 clinics. That gives the right-wingers 2,888 clinics to attack. This must stop. This must stop now. We must act, march, and protest, and we must demand federal protection of the clinics and the women who want to use them. Thank you.
Tony Bosa, DFL, Tony Bosa.
My name is Tony Bosa. The principal fact about me is that I'm an immigrant. I was born in Spain and came to this great country at the age of 9, and it has showered gifts upon me, and now at the age of 65, I want to see if I can do one final service for the state. The issues in the gubernatorial campaign obviously are economics, the retention of economic viability, the expansion of jobs, and the creation of prosperity. And towards that end, we're going to have to undertake some very difficult questions relating to labor policies, management policies, education policies, health policies, social service policies. Secondly, we are obviously concerned about crime. We need to attack the recidivist, the criminal repeater, be very, very vigorous and very tough. I support the notion of capital punishment and targeting recidivists, but I think we need to look at the complexity behind crime as well. Not only punish the criminal, but understand them. And the President's crime bill and the crime bills passed in the state don't do that. They're mindlessly draconian without any regard to the complexities required. We're going down the primrose path with the crime bill, and I think we ought to make the government leaner and sparer. I believe in an active government. I believe in the role of government. The government has services to perform and things to do, but I do think it can be leaner. Unicameral legislature, term limits, yes. Any job can be done within 8 years. Let's get some fresh blood, new ideas, reinvigorate the process. Regional government, instead of monstrous duplication of waste, think about county government. I will not occupy the governor's mansion or have a bodyguard or a chauffeur. The notion of imperial government has got to be attacked. The next governor must be a one-person grace commission and bring economies into government and yet allow the government to begin to function in a more business-like fashion. It does have services to perform, and I think it is a little bit mad for us to think that we need to paralyze the government or render it a nullity. It can do more. I think that I helped the Minneapolis Police Department do more with less, never asking for additional cops, reducing the upper rank levels from 23 to 12, reducing the lieutenants from 112 to 38, and returning surpluses 8 of the 9 years that I was chief of police, and they never made more arrests, they never issued more citations, never responded to more emergency calls, implemented 911. If President Clinton wants to do something about crime, he ought to look out of the window of the White House and see the most policed city in America and the most violent one. Obviously, he doesn't have
Will Shirley, grassroots party, Will Shirley.
Hi. If you're wondering about my qualifications to be governor, I should admit I've never run for any office. I'm a writer. I won the Minnesota Book Award for fantasy and science fiction a couple of years ago. I figure that's a qualification. This year, the Grassroots Party has candidates on the ballot for every statewide office. We're the most successful third party in Minnesota. As a grassroots candidate, I'm the third most likely person to be your next governor. The Grassroots Party formed in 1986 to re-legalize growing and using the hemp plant. People say that puts us outside the mainstream of America. Other people outside the mainstream of America who agree with us are the Surgeon General, Dear Abby, former Secretary of State Stuart Schultz, economist Milton Friedman, and William F. Buckley. Calling us a single-issue party is like saying the American Revolution began under the price of tea. The Grassroots Party has evolved into the only political party that believes it's possible to increase personal liberty and social responsibility at the same time. Like conservative Republicans and libertarians, we believe the government should stay out of the consensual activities of adult citizens. Like liberal Democrats and Greens, we believe the government should protect the environment and provide health care for everyone. For the full version of my platform, you'll find flyers up in front. Here's the quick take. 1. Amend the state constitution to guarantee the right of adult citizens to be free of government control of private voluntary activities. 2. Tie the salaries of our elected officials to the incomes of the people who elect them. Our representatives prosper when we prosper and suffer when we suffer. Also, cut their salaries and their perks. If career politicians are a problem, let's make the career a little less cushy. 3. Make Election Day a state holiday to get more people out to vote. 4. Give our children the best public education system in the world. 5. Give Minnesotans a single-payer health care system. Canada's had one that's worked for over 20 years. 6. Give Minnesotans universal daycare. 7. Toughen DWI laws. 8. Raise the speed limit to 75. European highways prove that traffic safety comes from good drivers, safe cars, and well-designed roads. We have those. 9. Provide high-speed rail and light rail in the state. 10. In addition to using wind power from the Great Plains, we should grow hemp for fuel. The hemp plant is a longtime staple of American agriculture. Washington and Jefferson grew it. It grows well in Minnesota. It grows wherever corn grows. It's easily converted to methanol for automobile fuels, pyrolytic charcoal for coal-burning power plants, and methane for natural gas. Last, let's establish an annual referendum to find out what the people want. Government's very fond of telling people what they ought to have. Let's quit. Thanks.
you off on the questions. John, are you here? Yeah, raise your hand. Fine. Thank you very much. Next we have John Marty, DFL Party, John Marty.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the chance to have this forum, especially with United We Stand and people I've worked with very much in the last several years. John Marty from Roseville, state senator for the past 8 years. I'm running for governor because I think we have to do a whole lot of things different in this state. About 50 years ago, we had some presidents, FDR and Harry Truman, who promised we were going to have universal health care. It never happened. We're still waiting for it. And we're still waiting. And now the compromises on the compromises on the compromises in Washington means we're postponing it at least till the year 2000, and then we'll discuss it again. But that's not good enough. I think everybody in Minnesota deserves a decent health care policy. We once had a policy, you work 40 hours a week, you are going to be able to support your family. You ought to be able to afford health care, retire with dignity, but it's not that way anymore. We've got to change our tax code. When people who are $300,000 a year pay a lower percentage of their income in state and local tax than everybody else, that's not good enough for Minnesota, and we've got to have some change. So when we talk about issues like workers' compensation, talk about injured workers, whenever we have a debate at the state capitol on workers' compensation, it's never how we can re-regulate the insurance industry or how we can save money by taking some of the litigation out of the system. It's always how we can stick it to the injured worker one more time. And that's not good enough for Minnesota either. Why is the debate on the wrong side? Why do the wealthiest get the lowest tax burden? Why can't we get universal health care? Why can't we get workers' comp that protects the injured workers who is designed to protect? Well, big money talks a lot in politics. When Congress is listening, they're not hearing from the senior citizen who can't afford to buy the next prescription the doctor requested them to get. They're listening to the people, the health insurance industry that spent $25 million to lobby and campaign contributions. That's who they're listening to. And that's what we have to change. That's why I've worked so hard on campaign finance reform. The United We Stand was there last year. I wanted to move what was 4 years ago. You could give anyone up there $60,000 per person. Twice that per couple. They were running for office 4 years ago. I wanted a nice round number. I picked $100. With no PAC, no lobbyist contributions. The United We Stand supported my bill, and they were there through hearing after hearing after hearing, in conference committee after conference committee. We didn't get everything we wanted. I'm running my campaign on those standards of nothing over $100, not a penny from any lobbyist, anybody. We're going to do it the right way because I think we have to change the way government works in this state. Thank you very much. I look forward to the questions.
Eric Olson, Libertarian Party, Eric Olson.
I'd like to start today by quoting a very famous libertarian. A wise and frugal government, which shall restrain men from injuring one another, shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvement. Thomas Jefferson said that in 1801, and we believe that today. My name is Eric Olson, and I'm the Libertarian Party candidate for governor. The Libertarian Party was founded in 1971 and is the third largest political party in the nation and in Minnesota. Actually, a little debate there. I'm here today to let you know what the Libertarian Party stands for. Libertarians believe the purpose of government is to protect life, liberty, and property, otherwise they'll leave us alone. As a Libertarian, I believe the only proper role of government is to protect individual rights, not to solve our problems for us, but to empower us to find our own solutions. We've seen politicians from both of Minnesota's ruling parties attempt time and again to solve our problems for us. This does not work. People succeed in solving their own problems when they are empowered to solve them for themselves and are held responsible for their actions. By asking the government to solve our problems for us, we've bargained away a great deal of freedom. Now, freedom is a word that's become cliche, tossed around by so many politicians, it's become nearly meaningless. True freedom is the freedom of individuals The answer is we are not truly free today. So what is the solution? The solution the ruling parties of Minnesota politics give us? More of the same. Democrats want to increase taxes and regulations immediately. Republicans want to phase that in over 3 years. More taxes, more regulations. Our high schoolers' test scores are going down. Raise taxes. Want a better transportation system? Raise taxes. Want to make the streets safer? Let's raise more taxes. Want professional basketball in downtown Minneapolis? Let's raise taxes. When will it end? It will end when we decide we've had enough. When we decide we want to take our lives back in an arrogant bureaucracy. When we decide to be responsible for our own actions. And when we realize that true freedom is the only thing you cannot have for yourself unless you are willing to give it to others.